Hello, and welcome to Wilmington Weekly. I'm Matt Perkey. This is the Wednesday preview for the Wilmington City Council meeting coming up on Thursday, March 19th. Tonight starts with a 6 p.m. workshop, and then the regular meeting at 7. Most of this agenda is pretty straightforward once you walk through it. The one item that does stand out a little bit more is the East End property purchase. The workshop starts with a presentation from Swindler & Sons Florist on downtown flowers for 2026. That is the hanging basket program. Nice beautification item, probably mostly a planning and cost conversation unless something bigger comes up. After that, council gets into legislation review. Under city services, there are 2 bid authorization items. One is Curtis Drive reconstruction. The other is North Spring Street, Phase 1, which is water and sewer work. These are not contract awards. They're the first step that lets the city advertise for bids and then move through the usual process. Both are expected to come in above the $75,000 threshold. Finance is fuller than it might look at first glance. There are supplemental appropriations, a transfer ordinance, a prior year expense resolution, and the landfill notes item. The supplementals include $1,800 and $20,000 to Bureau of Unemployment Services, a $70 State of Ohio refund line, $79,083 from the taxi fund to capital vehicle local share, and $132,078 from police fund to capital expense. The transfer ordinance moves another $10,310 from property and casualty insurance to capital vehicle local share. And the prior year expenses resolution, basically a then and now type item, covers 6 2025 expenses that are now being recognized for payment in 2026, including consultant services, facility renovations, inspection, consultant services, insurance deductible or claims payment, and equipment supplies. The other finance item is the landfill notes ordinance. This is one of those annual landfill financing conversations the city deals with, but it still deserves a quick sentence or two. This year's ordinance authorizes up to $1.15 million in notes to pay off the city's outstanding 2025 landfill notes at maturity, together with other lawfully available city funds. The new notes would mature on May 6, 2027. The true interest cost is capped at 6% and is being brought forth as an emergency measure. Then the regular meeting starts at 7. It opens with a public hearing on the Minor Subdivision Review Committee amendment. Later in the meeting, that same ordinance comes back for first reading under judiciary. From everything I've been able to put together, this is mostly a cleanup item, not a major zoning fight. The ordinance adds Section 1133.02, Section E, creates the Minor Subdivision Review Committee, and gives that committee authority over minor subdivisions and replats under Chapter 1115. In old business, the parking sign ordinance is back for second reading. Given all the discussion that's happened around this topic, I don't read this as a parking policy change. I read it as a sign cleanup. The ordinance says it's consolidating downtown 2 and 4 hour restrictions, removing damaged and duplicated signs, and replacing them with new signage, while leaving metered parking permit zones, accessible spaces, loading zones, temporary restrictions, and other legal requirements alone. Better signs, fewer redundant signs, same basic enforcement. Then there's the East End purchase. Council is being asked on third reading to authorize a $285,000 purchase of the former school property on Rombach Avenue. The packet tells us what the city is buying. It breaks down the 11 parcels, the property description, the 45-day inspection window. What it still does not clearly tell the public is the intended use. And before council authorizes a purchase like this, I think that public purpose should be stated clearly on the record. Also in old business is the landfill bridge item. This is Resolution 2610, and it's a bid authorization for construction of a new bridge over Lytle Creek at the landfill. The legislation says the point is to maintain access for landfill vehicles and equipment over to the borrow area so landfill operations and regulatory compliance can continue. This is still not a contract award. It's the step that lets the city advertise, take bids, and then move through a lowest and best bidder process. The project is expected to exceed $75,000. New business brings back the same two city services from the workshop, Curtis Drive and North Spring Street, Phase 1, both on first reading. Finance gets the supplemental appropriations ordinance, the transfer ordinance, the prior year expenses resolution, and the first reading of the landfill notes ordinance. Judiciary gets the first reading of the Minor Subdivision Review Committee ordinance. So once the meeting gets past old business, a lot of it is first step legislation and finance work. One quick Public Works note before I wrap up. The Public Works Committee met on March 9th and recommended ending curbside recycling and water fluoridation. I do not see either topic on this week's workshop or regular agenda, so I'm not expecting action on them Thursday night. But I will keep an eye on it for future meetings. I'm also keeping an eye on Planning Commission follow-through. As you may remember, Planning Commission on March 3rd tabled one recommendation to Council for a zoning change and approved another similar one. I don't see those on an agenda yet, but it's something I will also keep watching. Most of this agenda looks pretty routine. The zoning item looks like cleanup. The parking signs look like cleanup. The bid items are early step infrastructure legislation. East End is still the one place where I think the public deserves a clearer explanation before Council votes to pass. The workshop starts at 6. The regular meeting starts at 7. And I'll be back later this week after the meeting with a wrap-up. Follow the show wherever you listen and share this episode with somebody who wants a clearer picture of what's going on in our town and what Council is doing this week. Thanks for listening. I'm Matt Perkey.